Salve Forth Paladins, and welcome back to another episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates. I'm Admiral Tarek, the Dreadnought HMS Exile, as we continue our campaign against the Lyran Star Empire. And last time, we have neutralized the planet of 4-2, and we'd like to get on there quickly. However, I am going to quickly check through the shipyard to see if we have a Monarch-class battleship carrier. That is what we desire, it is what we crave. However, no, only still the normal Monarch-class battleships are available. The Monarch-class battleship carrier, obviously the most popular ride in the entire Hydran Navy. After all, it is a battleship carrier, and the Hydrans do love their fighters. Although it is not the biggest carrier that you can get in this game. I believe that is the Iron Chancellors, which carry no less than 25 vessels on board, or fighters specifically on board, which is rather ridiculous when you consider just how much firepower that actually is. So, without further ado, all hands to battle stations, and let's kick this sucker off. We are staring down a heavy cruiser, another heavy cruiser, and a third heavy cruiser. So we've got a full heavy cruiser, however, being escorted today by HMS Perseverance, which is most certainly not a heavy cruiser, and HMS Fortress, which is a close-range light cruiser. Okay, so we are rather outgunned, actually, which I suppose is not a huge problem so far as things are to go. After all, we are a heavy dreadnought, so we should be able to fight some things. However, this is not quite in our favor. Let's reinforce the forward shield and figure out how we're going to deal with this. We have an NSR, an SR, and you are a what now? An MPF. So this could get ugly fast. Let's overload the fusion cannons. We're going to need that kind of firepower in the close in. Let's also get our forward shield. Oh, it already is. Okay, so I'm not that far behind. We'll go up with the maximum electronic countermeasures, and, well, you're the one that's directly in front of me, so you're obviously going to be the one I'm going to have to hit first. I hope that you're not packing too many ships on board. If you have no pseudo-frigates, I can take advantage of that. I can leap on top of you and nail you with a lot of firepower. If you do have a lot of pseudo-frigates, then what I'm about to do is not going to work out quite so well. So what I'm planning on doing is basically a one-pass murder him. Oh, yeah, it's not going to happen. He has deployed his pseudo-frigates. They will get up in front of him, and unfortunately that'll spoil the firing solution for my fighters, which we are most certainly going to be deploying on this operation, because if we don't, we're going to die. Pardon me. Alright, so let's get the fighters out in attack mode. 1, 2. First explosive shuttle is ready, so that'll be interesting. Start to slow down so we actually get some power into the defensive system. Come on. Not today, sir. I will not allow you to do that. So he was about to try and screw with us. Oh, that was just gorgeous. The fighter groups, oh, 3 of them came in at the same time, nailed him on top of him, and just utterly gutted absolutely everything. Such a thing is a thing of beauty. I'm going to set my fusion cannons to normal mode. I need that additional power back so that we can get a little bit more firepower going. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but I would prefer to have a little bit more power for other defensive systems rather than get myself kicked because I was waiting for my fusion cannons to come back online. Fighters coming in, dealing just an absolute number on him. Oh, ripping him completely open. Our faces are up, and I'm going to have to take the shot soon. That's a second one out, and we were able to catch that. Lovely. Okay, call the fighters home. It's probably going to take a little while to get these fighters back online. Although, if we kill this guy in relatively short order, we may even save our third vessel, the little tiny whatever the heck it was. Slow down. It's not going to help. Okay, managed to bounce it off the side shield. And phaser's not yet ready, but we do have a Hellbore cannon, which can fire away. We are getting through already. I think both of our fighter groups have managed to get home, although that actually may be one of my fighter groups. It is not. Okay, so all of our fighter groups are home, so we don't have to worry too much about that. We've got more incoming systems. However, luckily our Gatling phasers are more than up to the challenge. So the Blood Spiller is the last target, and he is starting to limp quite a bit. If I can just get another Hellbore cannon in range, or the fusion cannon. Now we're not going to waste the fusion cannon just yet. 2 more shots from the Hellbores, locking out with phasers only because we need to be even closer if we want to make use of the fusions. And there they go. So that fight went a lot better than expected. The fact that the Perseverance is still alive is outright insane to me, because, wow, that was 3 heavy cruisers, and we had, I don't think the Fortress is anything higher than a light cruiser. He's only got 4 Hellbores. He's got a ton of Phaser X's, but he's only got 4 Hellbores. So, that worked out great. Phenomenally well, even. So, it's time to start going in for the Stardocks. The fighters, honestly, could probably take out these Stardocks for the most part on their own. Maybe. Potentially. It's going to be an interesting thing to see what they do. I am going to zip along at the maximum speed of time. We're also going to take this opportunity to overload the fusion cannons once again. I want them fully set up to be able to defend us in all things. And we can steadily shoot down every single missile that comes our way. We do know that they are Klingon Stardocks, KFRDs. And by knowing that, we know that they will be equipped primarily with missiles, so it doesn't really matter if we park right next to them and fire all our heavy weapon systems. They don't have a plasma torpedo to be able to actually hold us off. These fighter groups are probably going to die, just by virtue of the fact that, you know, they're coming home. Well, if they manage to get away in time. No, I think he just got shot down. But the fighter groups are going to die because they're not quite intelligent enough to be able to handle what they're actually running into. They have stopped firing. Oh, I spoke too soon. The fire was still on the way. All up and select, start to slow down, because we are just basically going to pull up and park next to them. All of our electronic warfare... Actually, never mind, it's perfectly fine. I was going to say I need to send it into ECCM, but that's not actually a concern at the moment. So, lovely. Okay, let them shoot everything they've got. And we'll open them up like a can opener. So that's fully taken care of. Now we can just sort of wait for our weapons to recycle back on as our point defense Gatling phasers take care of all the incoming fire. And I'm not going to bother opening fire with my fighters. I'm going to keep them nice and safe in the base because I don't want to have to accidentally repair them. Although I do think we already lost 2 of them. So we will have to restock them once we head back to a friendly port, assuming, of course, we don't find that Monarch-class battleship carrier that we want. Have we run you out of ammunition yet? Or are you still attempting to get as much as you can out of this? That will be the truest of questions. It has been a long day, so we're just going to pull up and park right next... Well, actually, no, we may not even have to park. We may just need to go nice and chill and slow, and everything should be fine. So we're going to pull right in close here, let our forward shields handle everything, and... Ooh, wow. I didn't realize we could do that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. The fact that we only need basically 1 salvo of fire to annihilate an entire Stardock, that's pretty awesome. Let's see if they manage to kill the fleet repair dock before we get back. I'm willing to bet they can. After all, they've done quite a number of the systems already, so there's not much left of it. So all they need is just a little bit more business having been done, and they've got it. Good work, Hydrogen buddies. I'm still rather amused by the fact that we actually did really pull that off. I was expecting much more damage, but we didn't even lose any shields. We came close on the one side, thanks to a point-blank range ESG, but other than that... we came at that nicely, and the planet has been taken. It is once again under our... well, not once again. It is under our control. Surprised reverse, don't mind if I do. That'll bring us up another 300 prestige once we accomplish it. So, let us ready up and rock and roll. So we'll just kick on the engines full power. No point in overloading the fusion cannons. We're just going to get on top of the target and break the target. So maximum speed of time. We're also going to go over here to maximum shield reinforcement. That way that we're fully prepared for whatever comes our way. And we got to keep an eye on the power screen so we can steal all that delicious, delicious energy in order to actually power our weapon systems. We are squaring off against a frigate, and a heavy cruiser. Obviously, the heavy cruiser is going to get the beans first, because otherwise we would be wasting fire on things that don't deserve it. Although this appears to be House of Korgath, and the way that we can tell that is that it's a pirate faction, but it also has a couple of Klingon barrels, which tells us that it is indeed the House of Korgath. One of the 8 pirate factions in this game. We're going to get right on top of you, but range, you are dead. Lovely. Slow down the speed of time, just so we can sort of sort things out for a sec. I don't think you're gonna... yeah, you got a point defense system. You don't have a point defense system, so let us deploy the fighters into attack mode. 1 and 2. Already opening fire. Lovely. And we will immediately begin attempting to deal with... well, we're gonna go for the E3s, because the E3s have a point defense system, and these 2 ships don't. So the fighters shouldn't have any trouble. And it does look like we do have full fighter squadrons, which is very nice. So they're gonna get up in there. Okay then, that was not expected. Nice. Okay, so we have fallen afoul of a very irritating bug that can happen on occasion, which suddenly decides that, hey, you're dead. Your ship has been around for too long. It's attached to an enemy ship blowing up. I do not quite know what's going on with it, why that happens, why the game seems to think that we are somehow connected, but it does. So yeah, we are now in a new heavy cruiser. That is irritating on several levels. I mean, we're still in a great position at the moment to just buy a battleship carrier should one come up. Unfortunately, one's not on the gosh darn list. We've been waiting for quite some time, too. I suppose we could pick it up an LBX. That would be a probably the most powerful heavy cruiser we could get for some time, until the X-type heavy cruisers come out, which I assume they're out. We're just not running into them. That's irritating. On several levels. We're not going to bother restarting. I mean, we are in a very comfortable position. I mean, we have nearly 20,000 prestige. We are not hurting for anything. So the fact that that is currently the way it is, I don't really care. I suppose I would care more if we were sort of trying and struggling along to make ends meet, but at the end of the day, we are just not. We are sitting here at a very strong and powerful position. We could pick up a Paladin class Dreadnought. 4 fusion, 4 Hellbore, 2 phaser G, 3 fusion, 4 Hellbore, 2, 6. Engine power is 55, 40-34s. The Paladin is 40-32s. And a more powerful engine. I will buy the Paladin. Supply. Trade in the Resolution, because the Resolution was the old style ship. We're going to get ourselves some Hornets. We're just going to outfit this ship rather simply. We're not going to do anything too crazy or special with it. After all, we are still looking for a battleship carrier to come along. 16,000 is still more than enough to buy it, so it's not a big deal at the moment. But hey, we get to try out a new combat style. Although, weren't we in a Paladin class Dreadnought for one point? Or were we in some other kind of Dreadnought? A light Dreadnought, I believe. It doesn't really matter. Let's go on a scouting mission. So, unfortunately, the Regent has fallen, and the Exile has become the hurdle.
Red alert.
So let's have some fun with it, I suppose. It's a slightly smaller Dreadnought, not quite as large. I mean, the Exile was a Regent-class heavy Dreadnought, and we've gone to a Paladin. I don't think it's a light Dreadnought, but close enough. So let us overload the phasers, and we'll see how much speed we can actually get out of this, because I'm rather surprised with how fast we're actually capable of going, even though we have phaser X's, which is quite interesting. So we're actually not struggling for power, unlike most phaser X ships that I know of, where normally you need to set their, yeah, we can charge all of those phasers. Oh no, apparently, wait, no, that's a graphical glitch. We can charge all of our phasers and charge ahead at a speed of like 13. That is pretty phenomenal for an X-type ship. Because once you start throwing in the X-type phasers actually take 2 points of power to charge rather than the 1 point of power to charge that one would expect from, and we're going to quickly bind these 2, 3, and overload them. The phasers take 1 point of power to charge, and the phaser X's take 2 points of power, because the phaser X's require 2 points of power should you decide that you want to fire all of your phasers in maximum damage mode if you overload them. I need to quickly remember that you are also part of my fusion cannons. Overload that. So 4 fusions, 8 phasers, 4 Hellwars. Great. Okay, so we're all rigged up. I'm just slightly out of sorts by the fact that we suddenly lost a ship that we, well, had been in for quite some time. We'll recover hopefully soon, and if not, well, then I'll be recovered by the next episode. A little bit of light fire coming in from this HDW. Now, we do know that we are supposed to be scanning him, so let's turn that on so that we actually get all that scan. Wrong one. That scan button. Let's make sure that we scan him before anything actually happens. We can get things done, and once we have his information, we will attempt to annihilate him. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. Okay, we have all the information that we need. We can shut that off. Give us some power back. Are you going to just come in nice and close to me? I have nothing against this. Just don't. He's gonna do it. Phasers first, all of the weapons propelled. That way we can sort of condense where we're having our Hellbore cannons focus their energies on. So he's taking quite a bit of damage, although he is still dishing out some damage, and his little tiny pseudo-frigates are also starting to get a little bit involved. Now, part of the reason why he's still alive is because I did not overload the phasers, and I was supposed to, but we took care of that. But the other reason why he was still alive is because we had fewer Gatling phasers. The Regent had 4, I believe, or didn't know it only had 2 as well. So it really just was the fact that we didn't overload the phasers. So we're gonna have to remember to do that from now on, as it will mean quite a bit of firepower will be added to the strike. So we managed to secure that tile over there. This tile right here was just the center of so many things. And I'm going to come in here again to the shipyard. We're going to be checking this a lot more often because I would like to get into my battleship carrier before the end of the universe. Hey, there's a Regent class heavy... Alright, no, RNX is 6 fusions. Wow, that's sort of throwing it all in on getting point blank range with somebody. Alright, let's continue on. We're going to put some pressure down here because this borders 2 tiles and we'd like to know what's there. MET-10 patrol, straight up battle mission, sort of get ourselves resituated back in a lighter dreadnought. So let us red alert and get our speed up to that 13, or was it 12? It was 12, okay. So we'll also go ahead forward shield reinforcement just whenever that's ready. Maximum electronic countermeasures. Now, we do need to remember, though, that we can't do that if we're going to overload the fusion cannons. So let's do that and see how much power that we currently have. Okay, so overloading the fusion cannons brings us to a power of 6. That's not terrible. I mean, it was 4 with the Regent, but the Regent had 6 fusion cannons rather than 4. We're being escorted once again by the Perseverance, so he has returned, and an XDD, one of the most deadly Lyran vessels in this game. In any game, really. So the Lyran's X-type destroyer is pretty interesting because he makes use of a weapon system called the ESG Lance. Basically, they realized that the ESG was, well, a bit of a problem concept if you wanted to actually make sure that one person got all of the business. And so they created a beam cannon sort of weapon where they can aimed the lance at a specific target. The lance cannot miss, and it does, I believe, full damage, the same amount of damage that an ESG would to a target. It's a beam weapon, not a capacitor armed weapon, I believe, although I have not used an ESG lance in a very long time, I don't think. And if I had, I didn't really pay a whole heck of a lot of attention to. However, fun fact, back when we first started doing our Starfleet Command streams, we started doing fighting the pack, as we called it, and it was basically 3 X-type destroyers against anything you cared to name. And we found that, well, the battleships themselves, like the full-on Federation battleship, Klingon battleship, Lyran battleship, Romulan battleship especially, they really struggled to try and handle taking on 3 X-type destroyers. It was really fascinating to watch just how much of a problem it would become. So squaring off against one of them shouldn't be all that much of a problem. After all, he's a singleton and he's sort of off on his own. And there goes the ESG Lance. He cut right through the shield, did 18 damage on top of that. But we're going to come in here. Hopefully the Perseverance will break off so that we can actually, well, handle this. Make sure our phasers are set to overload. Fusion cannon. I meant Hellbore, but you got the idea. Fire everything right through his front. And that's sort of one of the reasons why he just took that entire shot to the front of that ship. We cut through his shields. We did 92 damage. He's not going to slow down. He's just going to keep on going. He's not fine, but he's still doing all right. And that's rather terrifying, just how much damage a XDD can both dish out and take. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to save the Perseverance over there, but we're going to give it the best shot we can. And look at that, just crushing through our forward shield. Did a fantastic job of that, unfortunately. But we can return fire a little bit, rip open a couple more shields, start really demonstrating to him that we are indeed a dreadnought, and he isn't. So as much as his firepower is pretty impressive, we also have quite a bit that we can dish out, and he's down to a speed of 8. So let's give him a little bit more to think about. So even more phaser fire, just going down, nailing him. Now the X-type phasers in this game for some reason can fire pretty much twice a turn. The phaser capacitor cannot handle that. It is not fast enough in order to pull that one off, although it does try. So it does bring our phasers more into sort of a cycling fire mode. Unfortunately, fired that fusion cannon just a little bit outside of range. We're going to give our phaser capacitor a little bit of time to charge. That way we will be able to fire with multiple phasers, which will give us the maximum amount of damage. And that's one of the problems you end up running into. There we go, fusion cannon doing the job. Hey, the Perseverance managed to survive. He's still alive back there. He's not traveling at any speed, so he's probably taken pretty serious damage to the engine, but he's still alive, and that's the important bit. 230 prestige is our reward, and the tile is under siege, and power defense is only 5. That's pretty amusing to me. Once again, we're going to pop back here. We're going to go to the shipyard because I care about a vessel that is not showing up just yet, and I'd like it to. Could get an XFF, so we've run into the first of our X-type ships. The Advanced Hunter Frigate is equipped with 4 fusion cannons and 4 Gatling 2 phasers. The Gatling 2 phaser is just like a Gatling 1 phaser, Or, not a Gatling 1 phaser. Just like a phaser one, except Gatling-tized, so it fires 4 times. It's rather terrifying and dangerous as to what it can do. We're going to check once again. We're going to check this often. Oh, the XCAs are out. Ooh, 3 Hellbore, 2 Fusion. It's kind of light. The Advanced Bombardment Cruiser? Oh, you don't get one, do you? How many Gatling 2s do you have? You have 2. I have to compare that against what it is we're saving up for. And what it is we're saving up for is, well, a battleship carrier. And the question is, are you a battleship carrier? The answer is, no, you're not. And so, I'm not really interested in you. I know it has been suggested that we take on an XCA, or at least an XCB, but I would much prefer to get 20 fighters to just flood the enemy. But that's actually going to do it for today's episode. I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to see a notification every time I post one of these videos, press that little bell icon, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next episode.